Intelligent people do not assume to know what will make them truly happy. We can't just assume that we know what is going to make us happy. We can't just assume that getting that job or signing that client or dating that person or getting married or moving to that place or looking that way is going to be it. At one point, Christmas made a lot of us more happy than it does now. At one point, a birthday party made us feel a lot more happy than it does now. If money made you happy when you were broke, the same amount of money is not going to make you happy when you're rich. Emotionally intelligent people do not assume being fearful is a sign that they are on the wrong path. A sign that you're on the wrong path is indifference. If you are fearful about something, that is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. You're being pushed towards something. That's intention. Who knows if it always will be the right thing? What we do know is that you're on the right path. It might not lead to exactly where you want, but you're going into a direction you know you need to go into. They know that happiness is a choice, but do not feel they need to make that choice all the time. Happiness is not a sustained state of joy. Being happy is moment by moment. If you were only experiencing one emotion all the time, then that's not living. You're not living. You're just in existence. Living the human experience means that you experience all the emotions. And you should allow yourself to say, I'm not in a happy state right now. Emotionally intelligent people know that a feeling will not kill them. You're not going to die because you're angry. You're only going to die if you start doing stupid things because you're angry. Emotionally intelligent people do not confuse a bad feeling for a bad life. When you fight the bad feeling, when you fight the bad day, that is anything but peaceful. If you just come to grips with this is just not a good day for me. It's not my day. I got bad news. I lost a client. Somebody hit the back of my car on the way to the gym, and I just want to go home, go to sleep, and start this one over tomorrow. That's part of life. If I'm fighting against that bad day, if I'm fighting against that bad feeling, I'm causing war within myself. You're able to have peace when you just accept it. This is a bad stretch of life, or this is a bad day, or this is a bad week. These are bad feelings. But this doesn't make it a bad life.
We're live.
Live and alive.
Yes, sir.
Live and alive. All you come in. All you come in this morning. How we doing, C?
We're doing great, man. We're doing great. And for just of you for you guys who are just filing in or been on YouTube this morning or even last night, you guys might have noticed that you're seeing more of our morning lives popping up. That's because we decided to put them back. We've noticed that they've been gaining a little bit more traction, and so we decided
Well,
we're going to put them back.
sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, C, and then you can continue with what you're about to say. But that's because of you guys. That's specifically because of the Arethas and the Marias and the Christinas and the people who have been in here supporting us and really being on these lives on a regular basis, like Hollywood T, even though it's 5 o'clock in the morning there. Or sorry, yeah, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Or not even 5. It's like 4 something. Yeah, it's not even 5 yet. You know, so I know it's the same thing with Christina. So you guys have bent the algorithm. You guys have bent the algorithm. And so now the algorithm is saying, you know what, people are messing with this. They're consistent. They're tuning in on a regular basis. And so we said, you know what, we can put all the videos back. The reason why we took them off in the first place is because of an algorithm issue. But now we've put them all back. So if you've missed any of the lives in the past month, we didn't put, so I just lied by mistake. We didn't put them all back, but we're working on getting the rest back. We put all of them for the last month, right, C, or the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, so it's for the last month. So we'll be keeping up the ones
All of September we have up there, right?
Yes, all of September we'll be keeping up the ones that we record moving forward as well. So you guys don't have to worry about that. And it is because of the continuous support of you guys why this is happening as well. And I'm just grateful for you guys for always being on and supporting us and all of that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate all the support. We will be a little bit brief today because I have an unusual schedule this morning, but I'm continuing in Laws of Human Nature. Sorry, see, you were also saying something. I cut you off.
No, that was it actually. I was just expressing my gratitude for the Arethas and the Marias.
Yeah, good morning to everybody that's joining us this morning. I appreciate everybody being on. So let's jump back into Laws of Human Nature. Remember, we were talking about how empathy can actually make us very, very powerful. Okay. And he talked about having the empathic attitude. He talked about visceral empathy, which was reading people's what they're saying with their mind. And then he talked about analytic empathy, which is gathering information, understanding people's values, and so far and so forth. All right. This morning, what I was reading was all about body language. Now, I've been in sales since I was a teenager. Actually, even before that. Well, I was a teenager when I was 13, but when I was 13, my first job was a paper boy. And then my second job was selling those chocolate almonds. You would go to go downtown where people are at. You walk up to people and you sell those chocolate almonds, stuff like that. So I've been in sales basically the entirety of my life. Okay, which would now be over 20 years I've been in sales. And we're always taught in sales that only 7% of communication is words. Only 7% of communication is words. That's why it's important that, video be number one means for communication if you want to get your point across. Okay. Other things are really good, but 7% of communication is words. Of course, there's tonality, there's body language, there's cadence. There's so many different things in communication in which you can understand people. All right. So he's talking about this. He's talking about communication beyond just words. And remember, this is the laws of human nature. So he's just talking about this portion of human nature, the human experience. Okay. So he says people wear a mask, which is absolutely true. You wear a mask. I wear a mask. Even from the way you would speak to your mother is going to be different than the way you would speak to your sister, your brother, right? It's going to be different. Everybody wears a mask. You're going to speak to your client differently than you're going to speak to your best friend, right? And this is a normal thing. You might even change your tone. You might change how loud or how soft you speak. You might even change your accent based on where you are and who you're speaking with, right? You might even change your accent. And so my point is that we're all putting on a mask. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It is just something that we need to understand and read through. So what I wrote based on what he said this morning was read through the other person's mask and play yours to the maximum effect. Read through other people's mask and play yours. I actually put with maximum effect. And that's really what we want to make sure that we're doing. We're not playing our mask or in a malicious way to fool people. We're putting on a mask in order to communicate to that person the way we want to communicate to them, and so that they can understand what we're putting down, right? So even if it's the way you dress, some people say if you go to a job interview, you dress the part. Right after this, I have an interview. So I'm dressed like this right now, but I have clothes right here in front of me that I brought to the office that I'm going to change into before I go to the interview, right? So you want to give off what you want that person to understand about you, all right? And so it's not a job interview, just in case anybody's like, oh, you're leaving a job. It's not a job interview, but it's still an interview nonetheless, and it's a very important one. And so, yeah, he gets into this story about, and this most of today is going to be the story about this paralyzed man. Okay, so this man, he's in the hospital, he's paralyzed. I thought it was actually pretty cool. He was on his deathbed. He was paralyzed from the waist down, and he was on his deathbed basically. And there was a dresser with a mirror in the hospital room, and he asked his family to bring the dresser around so he can see the reflection of the sunrise or sunset, either sunrise or sunset, every day. And he thought that might continue to give him hope to stay alive and to keep him alive. So they did that, And within days, he dropped into a coma. And he was out for, I think it was 3 days that he was in a coma for. And when he regained consciousness, he was fully paralyzed. Even his lips were paralyzed. His entire body was paralyzed. Okay. And all he could do is observe people. He couldn't speak. He couldn't do anything but just observe people. He could hear what they were saying, but all he could do is observe people. And you know what they say, when one of your senses goes, the other ones strengthen, right? So this sense of, I guess, touch, because he's paralyzed, feeling, was gone. So his eyesight and his ears, his hearing, I should say, those senses heightened. And he began to notice that people speak with their faces. So he's just looking at people, and he's seeing his sisters say one thing with their mouth, but say another thing with their body language. He's hearing the different tonality. He's seeing them, fling their hair back or take a lint off of their shirt while they're speaking. And he's noticing that they do the same patterns each time they're trying to communicate something, even when the words don't match with what they're trying to communicate. And they give examples of this over time. Basically, what he noticed is that we all speak a second language. That it's a second channel of human communication. And it's interesting because I actually was reading this on the subway, excuse me, this morning. And I looked up and I actually saw two deaf people. I think you could say that word. I hope that's okay with YouTube. But I saw two deaf people. One was sitting down. One man was sitting down and the other man was standing up. And as I wrote here, they were having, what's the word I used? I wrote, they were having a deep conversation. They were smiling, they were laughing, there were jokes, they were nodding. They were having like full conversation, right? Telling each other jokes and everything in sign language. And it actually reminded me that 2 days ago, I also saw another deaf person, and he was on FaceTime with somebody, hearing impaired. Thank you, Aretha, hearing impaired person. And he was on FaceTime with somebody, and he was speaking sign language. Now, I grew up with one of my best friends. His sister was hearing impaired, so he knew sign language, and he spoke to his sister in sign language a lot. And my mother works with children, so she had this a lot. And my whole family works with children, and so I've seen this a lot. It's not something that's new to me. However, it was just funny or odd or ironic that as I was reading that only 7% of our words are communication, I'm seeing this right in front of me, that only 7% of our communication is words. Only 7% of our communication is words. It's just that we're lazy. That's all. It's that we're lazy. I've been to over 30 countries. Trust me, I didn't speak the language in every country I went to. And so a lot of times I'm communicating with them through gestures, through tonality, through pointing and all kinds of things, but definitely not words, because the words they're saying I don't understand, and the words I'm saying they don't understand. Right? It's so funny how sometimes I do see people try to communicate with words, especially when English speaking people, when I travel, and they're speaking louder as if the person can understand the words in another language if you say them louder. It's always hilarious to see. But that is what I saw this morning. And so he started noticing that even the way people walk, it gives you a whole entire sense of what they're trying to communicate to you, which is very true. We used to do this in basketball all the time. You can tell the player that you got to watch out for just by the way they walk and carry themselves on the court. And you could tell the player that's going to be benched in 30 seconds by their body language. You could just tell. This is with everything. Eventually, by drawing upon his willpower and imagination, he learned to fully walk again. Okay. I skipped through this part of the story. Basically, he was determined to walk, and he did. He ended up becoming a psychiatrist, but he didn't really practice psychology the way traditional psychiatrists practice psychology. Traditionally, you'll sit down with your psychiatrist, your therapist, whatever, and they'll ask you questions, and you'll use what? Your words. You'll use your words. You'll tell them, this is what I'm feeling. This is what my childhood was like. This is how I felt at this time. You use your words and you communicate with them, right? The problem is that a lot of people lie to their psychiatrist, or not. I don't want to always use the word lie because sometimes it's unintentional. It's not like they're lying on purpose, but they see something totally different than what had happened. They just see something totally different than what happened. How you doing? And so essentially what happened is he realized that instead of using their words as the main way to understand what they're communicating to him, he realized he developed this skill to read their body language. So he started reading their body language and seeing, even though they would say something, they were really covering up something else, or maybe in their mind that's what they thought what had happened, but in their subconscious mind they know that that's not what really happened, and so on and so forth. And he started reading their body language. He became very, very good at this, and he became one of the best in his field at really just seeing if someone's excited or nervous, seeing their self-confidence, rebellion, just by the way they would walk into his office versus the way they walked out of his office. He started noticing these patterns. He started seeing this. I wrote down, he had a profound read on his patients before they even said a word. So he became very good. And they gave a lot of examples. Robert Greene, the author of this book, he gave a lot of examples about this. Okay. And one of the examples that I wrote down, which I thought was the most standout example, is that there was a woman. Okay, there was a woman, and she walked into his office. Okay. Yes, he became so good at this that one time a beautiful young woman came to see him, and she said nobody could help him. And well, help her. And he noticed the way she picked up the lint off her blouse, and he said to her, "I'm the one that can help you." And she said, "How do you know?" Okay, sorry, my notes are bunched up. Okay, let me say that again. Woman walks into his office. She says, "Nobody has been able to help me." He notices the way she picks the lint off of her blouse, and he says, "I can help you. I'm going to be the one to help you." Okay. She says, "How do you know?" Guys, you ready for this? You guys ready for this? He goes to her. "How long have you been dressing in women's clothing? That's what he says. "How long have you been dressing in women's clothing?" He told her that he noticed the way that she picked the lint off of her blouse without making the usually wide detour around the breast area. And he also noticed the vocal rhythm of the way a man would talk. So this was a trans person, but nobody was able to help the trans person, this particular one, because this particular trans person wasn't telling the therapist that they were trans. And they were so great at their transformation, I guess, that none of the other therapists even thought twice about it. But because this therapist continuously read body language, the way this person walked, the way the cadence of their voice, and even the way they picked lint off of their shirt, he was able to call it out right away. and he was able to help this individual. And so the book goes on to talk about how, and by the way, it did mention that he noticed his sisters picking lint off their shirt all those months that he was in the hospital and he couldn't say anything and he was paralyzed. He noticed the way his sisters picked lint off of their shirt versus how the trans person was picking lint off of their shirt. And so, anyways, the book goes on to say this is how fortune tellers and psychics often make their living. It's not that they can read your fortune and tell your future. It's that they're so good at reading people and reading body language. So where does that leave us? Obviously, it's a cool story. Obviously, we understand that there's now obviously 93% of communication is outside of the words that we use. But where does that leave us as it pertains to how we operate with this knowledge in the world? Well, he says, first of all, you need to assume that you're totally ignorant to people's gestures, body language, tonality, cadence, things like that. Once you do that, you'll start paying more attention. He doesn't really offer many, many practical solutions, but I have 2 practical solutions for you. There's a book called Cues. Cues. It's a lady author. I have it. So I'll get you the author's name right now. Cues. Sorry, y'all. I wrote this right at the end because I was waiting for the practical things that we can actually do in our life. Excuse me. See, can you? Oh yes, Cues by Vanessa Van Edwards. Cues, Cues. Cues by Vanessa Van Edwards. See, can you put that a link to that book in the description? Obviously, a link to Laws of Human Nature, but also a link to Cues. And then there's another book by I think it's Peter Voss or Vince Voss or something like that called Never Split the Difference. Okay, another book called Never Split the Difference. I actually met this gentleman. He's Chris Voss, that's his name. Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. He's a retired FBI agent and he used to do negotiations for hostage situations. Those 2 books, you don't have to read the whole thing, but you'll find practical things that you can do in both of those books. Cues and Never Split the Difference. There are books dedicated to reading people's body language, to reading people's tonality, and teaching you how to use the right tonality and right body language so you can put on the mask that best represents your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions, your values in any particular situation, and what you're trying to communicate to someone else. All right. So check out those 2 books. I thought this was a pretty cool story about this paralyzed man that turned into a psychiatrist. And I just thought it was really important that we have this reminder that the words are barely anything when it comes to communication. It's really about everything else that you're doing. And that is the way we wear that mask. All right. From the way you dress to the way you walk, to the way you talk, to, your cadence, to your tone, all of that. All right. Listen, y'all, I got to run. I appreciate everybody being here this morning. We will be live this evening, right? See, we're on live this evening, or did we change that because we are on Monday?
I think we'll be on this evening. Yeah, if not, then
we're on this evening. Okay, we're gonna check the schedule. Can you just update the thumbnail, throw up the thumbnail once we get the schedule for our next live. Yeah. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody being on. Thank you, Steve, for doing what you do. And thank you guys for allowing us to really break through that algorithm issue that we had by supporting our channel. Now we're going to leave all of these lives up. And so this one, you'll be able to watch anytime. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Peace.
Spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punch when me choppers them, oh when me choppers them, oh when me choppers them, oh when me choppers them. Rocks with me, flash with me, rocks with me, flash with me, rocks with me, flash with me. Yo, spin your rods in the air like a chopper, wave your rods like a helicopter. Spin out your rods in the air like a chopper, round and round like a helicopter. Spin your rods in the air like a chopper, wave your rods like a helicopter. Spin your rods in the air like a chopper. Hi, choppers fly, helicopters we drunk cause we drink like a fish in the water. So high is like the world spinning faster, dripping with sweat but it don't really matter. The music making me ball out. We see ladies and we call out, them girls and them whining all out. Look a fight in the back, them brawl out. What? Me no business about that. Girls on me mind, so me thinking about that. Woman in the place, so me hunting for that. Bumpers in me face, so me on the attack. Just give me Henny, yo, give me sack. No racial thing, white oak, Johnny Black. Oh gosh, I got catch a jet lag. 1919 does have me feeling high, like a helicopter. Spin out your rods in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. So